Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to a new video. Welcome to a new supermarket video. There is a brand new supermarket that literally just opened. I want to take you for a walk around. If you're wondering where I am in Moscow, I'm in the Lublino district, and this is in the southeast of Moscow. There is plenty of very normal and very typical apartment buildings. These date back to the 1980s, and the nearest metro station is Voyskaya at the end of this road, around about 6 or 7 minutes walk. And then the shop we're going to go to is in the ground floor of this apartment building right here, built in 1988. And this is Magnit, Russia's most typical supermarket, or one of the most typical. There isn't a person in Russia that hasn't shopped in one of these stores before. And this one is rather interesting because it is a brand new store. You can see by the balloons around the entrance how new it is. And it's really interesting, this store, for a couple of reasons, and I'll point it out as we walk around. It has a mixture of its own stores inside the store. So you can see here the sign for Anteka, which is a pharmacy, and then also they have a cosmetic store as well, built in. So under the Magnit chain, they have 21,000 of their supermarkets across all of the Russian Federation. And then combining it with the pharmacy and the cosmetic stores, they've got 31,000 stores. Just think about that in your head for a minute. 31,000 locations, and here we are going to a brand new Magnit. What's interesting is the actual supermarket itself is open 24 hours a day, and then the pharmacy and cosmetic store is open normal trading hours, 9 or 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. A few do's rather than don'ts on the door. Also, you can charge your phone here. You can bring your pet inside, and it encourages you to go to the cafe. I like it right at the entrance here, how they've got a place to wipe your feet, particularly in winter when it's snowing. Got the baskets right here. One of the young kids has left his scooter because you don't really need to bring it inside the store. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around the supermarket first, and we'll come back and have a look at this pharmacy and cosmetic store, because it's rather interesting how they've separated quite a lot of things away from each other and created this store within a store concept. Now I am here right at 4 p.m, which is when all the kids finish school and mums and dads are bringing the kids home from school. So it will be a little bit busy. Also, the fact it's a brand new store as well, lots of people want to come and check this out. So the more typical way to do your shopping is to grab one of the hand baskets and walk around the store with those. So the first thing that you see when you come in isn't immediately the fruit and vegetables, which is very normal in most supermarkets around the entire world. They've actually got this cafe right here, or this mini seating area where you can actually sit down and have something to eat, and you can actually charge your phone there on the sockets. So what they've got is, on this right hand side, is they've got ready food, or cooked or prepared food. There is also some cakes here as well, and pastries if you want to take something home. So the idea here is to either buy them for eating in the cafe or take them home, and these are all prepared and cooked, generally enough for one serving for breakfast, lunch or dinner, and everything is very reasonable. Also some drinks. You will notice a slight Asian influence as well. So it starts here with the drinks, and then over on this side you'll see also some of the snacks as well. And that's because the cafe right here has a ramen noodle station. So you can actually buy ramen noodles, cook them yourself, and then actually eat them right here in the store. Now, it is a little bit busy to get as close as I would like to, but basically it's really simple. You choose your noodles right here. These are all at supermarket prices. It's not any different to going anywhere else. And there is some ingredients that you can add to your noodles right here. And then the next step will be just to pay for it. So this is self-checkout. You do this yourself. You don't need anyone to help you. And then there is 3 different noodle stations right here. And this young lady's just starting hers, where she's putting the noodles in. And this young guy's got his ready to go. And there is also a sink where you can put your plate and tray. And it's very straightforward. And I think that this will be a little bit of a hit at some point soon. This particular store opened about 4 days ago. And I did actually come for the opening, which was on the weekend, but it was so crowded with people. It was just even impossible just to walk around comfortably with the camera. So I thought I'd come back a day or 2 later because there was a lot of buzz and excitement. They actually even had a stage set up outside. They had some singers and dancers, and they had some face painting, character costumes, people walking around. So it's a little bit quieter now and a little bit easier to show you what's unique about this store. So what you can do once you've made your noodles, like where you see the young guys here doing, they've come over to have something to eat after school. So there is also a microwave here, so if you want to heat up any of the ready meals, you can do that yourself. And then you'll see the plugs on the counter for charging your phone. And you can just chill out here. And this is all self-service. You just pay for your food and then sit right on down and enjoy it. Very easy. There is actually a little step-by-step guide on the roof up here. But I think once you've done it the first time, it's pretty straightforward. Over on the left-hand side over here, they've got the pastry section and bakery. And they do these in store. So these are what they call par-baked goods. So they come in partially frozen, partially cooked. Then they've got speed ovens in the back where they put them in. And you've got things like donuts and cinnamon scrolls and some of the bread as well. There is also some pizza or mini pizza that you can have right there. And then traditional bread as well. And it's all very inexpensive. It's not high priced intentionally because the fact that it's prepared in store. You can just see the machines in the back there. And then the cafe part of it over here. So what you can do is, even with the pastries, you can just pay at the checkout right here and then walk on out of the store. You can make yourself a cup of tea or coffee as well. And this again is all self-service. They've got the cups, the lids, and everything like that. And then they've got all of the pre-set choices right here for you to pay. And then as part of the cafe, they've got some hot food or some prepared food. So you've got mostly takeaway style things, but fries, nuggets, hot dogs. They've even got some shrimp as well. And what they've done is they've even got them on a little suggestion box right here. The couple of different types of hot dogs. I think people just ask over and over. And only just about $1 or so for a hot dog. And then even chicken nuggets are less than $1. The same with fries for about 80 cents. And there's the different coffee prices there as well, which you use at the self-service machine. It's really interesting as I'm walking around to see everybody doing shopping now. Everybody in Russia knows Magnit. It is an absolute institution in the country. And they've got stores absolutely everywhere in every region, every town, city. We could probably even walk to another one not far from here. But everybody's so fascinated to come to a new store, just like I am. One thing I do notice too is they've got different colored shelving depending on the products. So here's the pay by weight candy, and they've got pink shelving. And then for their regular products, there's white shelves. And then on the end caps here, with some of the product specials, they've got yellow shelving. That's a good way to identify different products. And we've got dairy items. milk, cream, sour cream. So then the rest of the store. So one thing you'll see here, so they've got the alcohol on the far end here, and actually the shelves have changed colors to a red color now. So I think it's just a way to freshen up the shop, make it feel brighter when you're walking around. And you know, it's not the same aisle after aisle. Tea and coffee section. Also tea biscuits. I think that's what they're called. Now there is lots of people shopping in here, and I don't want to feel like I'm following people around. It's actually the aisle over here with all the kids' products. So they even separate all of the products that kids would eat or drink. Lots of choices of tea. There seems to be a never-ending assortment. I hope that's the same everywhere in the world. When you walk in a shop, you've got 50 choices of tea and 30 choices of coffee. Just let me know if that's different to what I'm showing you here where you live. I think I might have found some of the imported beers here. Made in Germany. And then from Mexico, Corona. I think from Czech Republic. I did just notice over here also Guinness, and you can usually tell when it's imported very easily by this white sticker on the back. So the product itself is the domestically made one, and then for export when it reaches Russia they put this label on with the ingredients in Russian language. So there's a mixture of domestic and imported beers. Pretty much any of the Baltica beers you can imagine. Also these Alka Pops. And of course across from the beer you've got to have beer snacks. And plenty of choices of chips. And then we come to the wines. Now I'm curious if we can find Australian wine. I'm sure they've got it here somewhere. Yes, right here. Gura Gura Creek, wine of Australia. So there's at least one on the shelf. So 3 years ago, when all of these companies decided they didn't want to be here, this shop opened 2 days ago, and they're all on the shelf. So they've got all of the regular juices and drinks on this left-hand side. For anyone that's watched videos where people talk about the Dobra Cola and that brand, they actually started out with Dobra juices, and this is their brand here, which is very famous in Russia. And then they were actually also the company that was making Coca-Cola in Russia at their factory under license. And then when Coca-Cola decided to leave, they then took on making their own Dobra Cola brands. So many choices of drinks. It's really almost too many. They've even got some imported Coca-Cola there. But the thing is, why would you pay 170 rubles when you can buy domestic Russian one for 125 rubles? There's really no need. Everves is the Russian Pepsi. And if anyone wants to pause the video and look for the Pepsi address right there on the back, it's very clearly on display. And we come to the alcohol. So not a large selection, but more than enough choices. And all of the domestic and imported brands are on the shelves. Dewar's, which is from the Bacardi company, is right there. And plenty of brandies. And a normal small selection of vodka. So if you need a bottle of vodka, you're paying around about maybe $6 or so for a bottle, depending on the brand that you want. And if you just want a quick takeaway one, about $1 or $2, depending on the type. You'll see there the Dobro Cola, which gets mentioned quite a lot in different people's videos, more than just mine. This is nice. They put the drink fridge here. This was never really a thing a few years ago, but they realized that people are coming in and grabbing drinks, grabbing some food, and then heading out of the store. And why not? Ice cream fridges. And then we have all of the cleaning products and just a little bit of everything on this aisle. Need some containers, washing up liquid, everything which is very normal and very typical. I think this gentleman's confused what he wants. He's on the phone, I think, trying to figure out which brand to buy. And then very large cat section and a very tiny dog section. It's about 80% to 20% mix when you see the way they've got it set up. And then all of the personal care items right here as well. I love to ask this question in videos, and if you've not heard it before, where you live in the world, let me know in the comments. And then, are your eggs on the shelf in the aisles or they're in the fridge? I think it's interesting to know the difference. Now, there is a bit of a mix of prices. However, their classic box of 10 eggs, so 54 rubles is about 60 cents in US currency. And depending on the size of eggs, it does vary. But for me, I always buy the one that's the classic box. If you want the bigger ones, you're paying about $1 for a box of 10 eggs. Cooking oil, you can still get smaller ones for less than $1. And then some canned meats. And then pickled vegetables, always very popular. And you can get pretty much anything you like pickled. Just a matter of your favorite thing. And the way they've got it set up here, so what they've done is they've looked at statistics based on sales and then increased one area's display of some products and reduced others. So you don't need large bays of honeys and jams if people don't buy them. Increase it and put something else more on the other shelf. And then we're back around at the fruit and vegetables. So generally on the end is always what's the current seasonal thing. So right now we're on to grapes. And I think perhaps, do we call these persimmons? Or are you calling them something else where you live? Some stone fruits are still here as well. I do hope you're enjoying this walk around of a brand new Russian supermarket. Now, the brand Magnit, like I said, has more than 20,000 of these in Russia. And I'll be curious how close the next nearest one is to this store, because generally you can walk between districts and find multiple shops. And the point that they're trying to do by having so many locations is to make it close to home. And everyone that's shopping in this store would live in this immediate area. They'd live in the buildings right nearby or within a few streets. And it makes it easier that you don't have to travel far to go shopping. And you can just literally grab what you want, head home and have something to eat. They do have a few of the self-checkout bays right here where you can pay yourself and leave, of course. And then the traditional registers where people are happy to wait in line and be served at the counter. It's actually a gentleman working on that checkout there. And then come around to this other side over here. We've got all of the candy. I found the Kit Kat replacement. It's called Good Mix. And they make a few different flavors. There is a caramel one which is delicious. I will definitely recommend you look for it. And then let's have a look. They've got the grab and go caviar section right here as well. You can pair it with a sparkling wine if you want to. We've even got the vol-au-vent covers for your caviar. And then you swing around to the register. So So you can grab some caviar, pay, and head on out of the store. Depending on where the stores are in Russia, some of the Magnit cosmetic stores are actually standalone and separate from the actual supermarket. What they've done here is they've actually included it together so you can walk between the shops without having to go to another location. When I was here 2 days ago, this place was packed. This is why I've chosen to come back today, because it's much quieter, much easier to walk around, and definitely less people. Now, naturally, in this part of the store, you're not going to have the same rush like you have in the main supermarket part. What they've done with this store and the way they've set it up is they've tried to pull away all of the non-food items and put them into one standalone shop. And this is an initiative by Magnit to try to create another shop option for you. And also, all of this is not in the normal supermarket. And where you didn't plan to come shopping for these things, you're not facing them when you're walking up and down the aisles looking for something. You've got all of the aisles of personal items, and then basically the extra stuff as well. So things like makeup, cosmetics, and the whole aisle. So this is kind of quite interesting. And tell me what it's like where you live. So the register is over there. That's where you're going to pay. Of course, they've got all of the small cosmetic brands set up on that wall. And you've got an extension of the shop that keeps on going. And you've got aisle upon aisle of things. Now, being that this shop's just opened, they'll have opened with a standard quantity of products. Then they'll learn over time what they need to add or remove from the choices. But I'm a long way from the register here, walking around the back. However, everything you need sort of beyond the traditional supermarket is stocked over here in this separate standalone part of the store. And it's just giving everybody that bigger selection and more choices. Now this is, I'd say for most people, the ladies' heaven. The men get about 10% of this store. That's just quite normal. I think we might just get the deodorants and shavers, and that's about it. What I'll think will happen with the store is gradually over time they'll bring more and more non-food items over to this shop and have less of it in the main store so they can stock just food items. Just want to show you something really interesting. So where I was working in Australia in supermarkets, these are called banana boxes, quite literally. And I think around the entire world, everybody that works in a supermarket uses banana boxes for their backstock. So you normally have them as boxes to put all of the understock in and keep it in the storeroom in the back. And here I am in Russia, and they've got banana boxes just like in my local supermarket in Australia. So things like perfume right here as well. And then you'd have the ladies here who can literally locate and find everything for you very easily. Magnit has actually had its own pharmacies for quite a while. However, depending on the location, they would actually have them separated from the supermarket. And then in this store, which is a brand new concept with this store within a store layout, it's wanting you to obviously do all of your shopping under one roof. And quite simply, you can come in here and buy pharmacy items. Now this is very traditional of any pharmacy in Russia. You've got glass cases with things on show, and then you've got all of the pharmacy items behind the counter. So you can buy quite a lot of things over the counter, and then also you can bring scripts from doctors to buy things as well. And generally, if you've got an ailment, you tell the lady at the counter, and she'll find you something and solve all of your illnesses with a 1-2 minute shopping trip. One thing that I think is quite different here from Australia, if I compare coming to pharmacies, is there's a lot more over-the-counter medications that you can buy, whereas in Australia I'd need a doctor to write a prescription for products. So you can get a lot more products simply just by walking in than having to go to a doctor, then come back to the pharmacy to buy things. I think I'm going to have to try something from the cafe, and let's see what we're going to have here. So what I need to do is basically decide what I want, and the way you do it, you actually pay for your items on the checkout right here, and you give you the receipt to the ladies, and then they prepare what you want. I think I really want to try the shrimp, and of course got to have a hot dog, and I think the chicken as well, because these are all, I guess, normal and different at the same time. So let's place an order and sit down and enjoy this. Of course, I can't come to a new supermarket with a cafe and not try some of their different things. Now I've gone for a bit of an eclectic mix here. So the actual ramen part of the cafe, I've tried it before in another video, and I'll put a link to that so you can check that out. It's actually quite interesting to talk about it and see it. Now I went for the breaded shrimp. I also got some chicken pieces or chicken nibbles. I'm not sure what the official name of them is. And then I also got one of these famous Magnit hot dogs. Now I think the lady at the counter there realized I was making a video and put lots of toppings on it. If you're curious about the price, so everything that I got here was 437 rubles, which works out around about $4 for everything here. I didn't actually get a drink because I'm going to have one when I leave the shop afterwards. Let's give this hot dog a try. Okay, so lots of ingredients. This is like fully loaded here. So you've got mayonnaise, ketchup, there's also a green relish, also bacon pieces on top, and then also pickled carrots as well. And this is actually a beef hot dog. They did have beef, pork, or chicken, so you could actually choose which one you wanted. One more bite. I think either the lady saw that I was making a video, or she's just been a mum and been very generous with the ingredients, because the point of this sort of cafe here is really to introduce you to products that they sell in the shop, so you can actually buy the bread and the sausages here in the store. And it's probably overloaded, but very nice. And again, $4 for everything. Let's give this breaded shrimp a try. I've never had these in a supermarket before. It's really just interesting to think about that. I'm not in a cafe, not in a traditional sit-down place, but you can buy food. You can either get it from the cafe section or get the ready food and have it right here in the shop. It's breaded shrimp. Simple as it comes. I think we've all bought these in the shop before, put them in the air fryer at home. Actually, these are the tail off ones. So, very different to have it in a supermarket. And the chicken, so they're kind of somewhere between a chicken leg and a chicken wing, but they're very, very covered or breaded. These are very good. These are very similar to the KFC, or Rostix is the brand here in Russia. They're pretty much the same thing. Now I am here after 4 o'clock. I did have lunch today, and I'm not really very hungry, but the food is tasty. Okay. I'll leave that one for a little while. I think one more bite of this hot dog. I'm sorry, I should have warned everybody at the beginning that I'm going to have food tasting. But definitely a loaded hot dog. I'm glad that I waited and came here today, because a couple of days ago when I came, it was crowded here and I wouldn't have been able to sit down comfortably and make the video. Now it's a little bit quieter. It's a little bit easier to enjoy the food. So everything for just about $4 and good value for money. I mean, if I just bought the hot dog alone, I'd have been happy, but just to get the other things as well. And there's constantly people coming in here. Now, of course, naturally, a lot of people live locally and live close by. So they're just coming into their Magnit supermarket, and then they're discovering this cafe section, and you know, it's almost somewhere to hang out now. You can sit down and enjoy the food. But overall, very good. As I head on out of Magnit, I really hope you've enjoyed this video and this walk around. And I will say that the hot dog was really, really tasty. Actually, although there was a lot of extra ingredients on it, it was very nice. Actually, it's got dark already. I've been here not even an hour and it's already dark. I might do the ending from right here. I have to walk back to the metro to head on home. The actual food tasting part, I actually enjoyed this food. Look, it's basic, ready food. You know, there's nothing special or fancy. I think the way that they do the hot dogs with all the ingredients though, made it extra tasty, and for $4 for everything, you know, I'm happy. And that's the main thing. So yeah, thanks everybody. Coming to a brand new format of Russian supermarket, and this store in a store concept where you've got all of the different types of shops that Magnit have. So the cosmetics, the pharmacy, and then the traditional supermarket, and then now to add a cafe in there as well. What they really want to do obviously is prolong how long you're in the store for. So sit down, have a coffee, have something to eat, then go shopping. You know, don't come with an empty stomach. It's quite famous, that story, I think. So yeah, if you want to come and check it out, I'll put the information in the description. Obviously, I live 2 hours from here, so it's not close for me just to pop in here. It's not my local Magnit, but I do hope they'll upgrade my local one to something like this at some point. If you want to follow my daily travels and you want to know where I am during the day, you can click this link to follow me on Telegram. And if you want to watch an old video on the channel, something different, you can click this link and keep traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.